The MicroFreak is a great budget synth. It has a bunch of different types of oscillators, and it's even capable of sample reproduction and granular synthesis. However, being honest with you, I haven't been using mine all that much. I want the bass synth for my live sets and improvisations, and the MicroFreak is very hands-on. However, it lacks lower end, it lacks power. It sounds a bit anemic, you know. My challenge for today is to revise my own assumptions about the MicroFreak. Can I make it sound groovy and meaty? There are two goals for this challenge. One, the bass will need to sound warm and present, but not overdone. It needs to sit well in a mix, especially in a live setting. And two, the filter cutoff will need to be modulated rhythmically and with as much variation as possible from note to note, so it can create groove. According to my research, it seems that the virtual analog oscillator type provides the best results. It can generate patches with a good low end, but also retain high end as well to have a richer overall sound. There are other suitable oscillator types, for example, bass, but it tends to focus too much on the low end. The bass is there, of course, but it lacks presence in the high end, and therefore there is nothing for the filter cutoff to grab and groove. However, the compromise is that the virtual analog oscillator type has its own kind of LFO modulation already built in. In order to create the analog drift kind of effect, the volume oscillates slightly for the lower end. I don't think it's possible to disable this, unfortunately. I would prefer to have control over this feature or even disable it, but we'll have to play with the pieces that we have. If you think there's a better oscillator type for this use case, let me know in the comments. Let's start the basic batch. The circuit tracks will help with the sequencing and also provide some drums for context. The oscillator type will be virtual analog. We need a shorter decay for now, and also a lower sustain. We'll leave detune at 0. The shape will be around 44. And the wave will be 28. Let's lower the filter cutoff. And also raise the resonance. This is cool already. Check out how the low end is there, but there's also grit, providing texture. Let's go deeper. It's time to modulate. The first thing to do is to assign the filter cutoff to the LFO. Let's set it around -12. It needs to be minus, as a negative modulation provides a better rhythmic effect on the sound. Now I'll set the LFO rate to half beat, but you can have it however you like. Experiment with synced and free LFOs, and with different rates as well. Next step, setting the resonance to be affected by the key. This is not particularly important in this bass line since it's just one note, but if you had more, it would provide more variation depending on the notes played. Let's set it to -30. And for the final step, let's have the cycling envelope modulating the LFO rate. We'll set it to loop and then assign it in the matrix. it's done. Now just mess with it. The knobs in the cycling envelope section change how the rate is affected during the rise, hold, and fall of the envelope, and the amount lets you morph between the default rate and the cycling envelope modulation. The filter amount knob is also helpful to change how the filter is affected by all of this modulation. This patch is great when you're using just a MicroFreak, but it can be improved. As I've mentioned before, the MicroFreak tends to be a little weak in the low end, but if you have an effects pedal, you can mitigate this. I have a Zoom MS50G multi-effects pedal, and I've used the following modules in it to beef up the sound. Bass EQ to cut and emphasize some frequencies, RC Boost to boost the low end, another EQ to control the low and mid frequencies, Arena Reverb to give it some space, and multi-tap delay to give it texture. This is its final form. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I'm sure I'll make some changes along the way, but I think it sits great in the mix, and I can use the LFO rate, the cycling envelope, and filter amount knobs to add variation and keep the sequences fresh. With a device like the Digitag, the possibilities expand even more with its great LFO features and custom settings per trigger. You'll see more of this setup in my videos, for sure. Until then, just have fun messing around with these patches and let me know what you come up with. If you like this video, please consider giving it a like and also subscribing for more. I've recently hit 100 subscribers on this channel. It seems like a small milestone, but it's really huge for me. Thank you for all the support. See you next time.